Good afternoon. Welcome to Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District. This is the Finance and Audit Committee. Regular meeting agenda is for Thursday, June 26th, 5:30. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Can you do the board call, please, Madam
Yes,
Clerk?
I'll do the roll call.
Okay.
Director Weber,
Here.
Director Clark,
Here.
Director Jones.
Here.
Director Jones is joining us via Zoom this evening. Thank you.
Does Director Jones have to explain?
No.
Nope, we don't, not on this one, just on the general. Okay, next we have public opportunity. Matters of public interest within committee's scope, including items on or not on the agenda. Do we have any speakers?
I have no speaker cards. Anybody wishing to make a public comment, please use the raise your hand feature on Zoom or come up to the podium.
All right.
No public comments. Thank you.
We move on to consent items. Any questions on the consent items? Need a motion?
I will make the motion.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, Madam.
Yes.
Board Clerk.
Director Clark,
Here.
Director,
Aye.
Director Weber, and Director Jones.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. The consent calendar is adopted.
All right. Having done that, let's move on to the presentation items. We have one presentation item on the agenda, and it's the bi-monthly fiscal report through April 30, 2025. And our CFO, Dave O'Toole, is at the podium.
Thank you and good evening, board members, Fire Chief House, colleagues, members of the public. This is the bi-monthly fiscal report. Here it comes up on the screen there through April 30th, 2025. So 10 months of fiscal year 24-25. As usual, this fiscal report is presented to give you to help you monitor the fiscal health of the district and identify any deviations from the most recent budget plan, in this case, the mid-year budget. So moving on. This first slide is your total cash balance trends through April. The red line is, as always, the red line is the current year and the green line is the prior year. And you can see that after 10 months, the two lines generally follow a trajectory, a similar trajectory. Although in this last month in April, that difference is about 77.7 million. It's not, unfortunately, not to suggest an unexpected surge in cash balance. It's more of a timing difference, and we expect that when the year ends, the two lines will start to look about the same. So no real news there. Moving on to general fund total revenues. Let's see, this chart shows revenues through April. Again, the red line is current year, green line is prior year, and the blue line is comparing it to the mid-year budget. Let's see, you can see that the total projected revenues in the mid-year at the end of the year are 316.2 million all the way to the right. And then as indicated by the arrows, actual revenues through April were nearly 267 million. So about 17 million more than last year, but still about $8 million less than where we had pegged it in the mid-year budget. So we have some catching up to do there on the general fund revenue side. Here's an area. A subset of revenues of significance here is EMS revenues or medic revenues. They're tracking slightly below the blue budget line and just above prior year revenues, the green line. Actuals on the red line were 38.1 million, approximately $300,000 less than last year and $1.7 million less than budget. Now I will just disclose that we already have seen the initial records for May, and there will be a sizable surge in EMS revenues for this. So I do think this is a blip, and when I present in 2 months, when I'm presenting the data through June, it's going to align and most likely exceed what we had in the mid-year budget on EMS revenues. Mm-hmm. Now moving on to PPGMT, these next couple of slides. This one here is capturing the first 18 months of the program, the 6 months of 22-23 and 12 full months of 23-24. The total collections over this period are 31 million, meaning we plan to collect 34 million over the first 18 months of the program. So that's where that gap is. It's shown on the slide of 3.1 million is what we still have to collect for the first 18 months of the program. There are still a handful of providers that are resolving accounts and they are accruing interest. They will need to pay interest But we're getting close to the point where we could probably consolidate this slide into just showing the gap as opposed to the monthly, because those columns are starting to look pretty similar to one another. But here is this current fiscal year 24-25 PPGMT income. You will notice all the way to the right of the slide that the numbers are substantially lower. That's because it typically is taking 2, 3, 4 months for them to really start to get the money in. And that's where you can see the left of the slide where the total 1.7 million is 1.78 million for the month of July is approaching the 1.8 million we expect to get for the fiscal year. So it's taken about that long to be able to get to really approach what we expect the full month payment to be. Let's see. Yeah, again, as noted on the slide, 13.8 million collected. Amount outstanding is 4.8 million through those 10 months. And the total that we're shooting for, we budgeted for mid-year is 20 million. So while 13.8 million may look like a little ways away at this pace, we do accrue back after the next fiscal year after the next fiscal year begins next week on July 1, we'll be accruing back the payments into the month where it occurred. So we fully expect to still to achieve the 20 million for 24-25 fiscal year. Now moving from revenues into expenditures. Let's see, this slide shows the general fund total expenditures with the blue line, the budget plan, and prior year in green and actuals in red. After 10 months, expenditures are 262 million, below the budgeted amount by 7.3 million. Expenditures through April last year were about $30 million lower. Looking at a subset of general fund expenditures, going to labor costs. Let's see, as you can see on the slide, at the end of April, actual labor costs were 220.7 million, about $23 million higher than last year's figure of 170 million. Those blue and red lines are very tight, but the difference is actually about 1.8 million. We are over budget through April by 1.8 million in labor costs. Moving on to general fund reserve balances. This slide shows reserve balances for the first 10 months of the fiscal year. Similar to the cash balance slide, the first chart we saw earlier, there are 2 dips and 2 surges where we receive large tranches of property tax revenues, and those get spent down, we get another tranche. Let's see, the purple dotted line shows where a 15% reserve level would be, which is about 42 million. And at the end of April, our reserve was 58.1 million. So we are not borrowing from the county. And that's about the gap between the red and the green. There's about 9.7 million, about 9.7 million higher than we were last year at this point. We expect the trends to, like before, to kind of level off, and we'll finish about where we had it in the mid-year budget of 11.8% reserve. And turning to the CERT fund, the California Employers Retirement Benefit Trust Fund, or OPEB Trust Fund. Let's see, balance in this trust are now, as shown there, 95.5 million. As shown on the slide, since inception, the district has contributed about 64.1 million of that. There was hard to tell what this picture in the last 2 months since we last reported. There was a little bit of a shrinkage in the balance. Let's see, about 900,000. And that is largely because of the market upset in April. There was that dip, and then it seems to have come back up. So we did actually lose about 900,000 in total value since I last reported you 2 months ago. And here's your summary slide. So starting with revenues, they're $8 million below budget and $15.4 million higher than prior year. Along in the revenue area, PPGMT, we're still owed about 3.1 million through 22-23 and 4.8 million in 24-25. And let's see, general fund expenditures are $7.3 million lower than the mid-year budget. So on the other side, we're underspending by 7.3 million, and then labor costs are up 1.8 million above the mid-year budget estimate. Those are what I would say are the major takeaways from this report. With that, I welcome any questions or comments.
No questions for me, Mr. Chair.
I was going to ask you afterwards.
So when do you anticipate we recover funds from 2 years ago? 23, 24? I mean, I still can't wrap my head around why it takes so long to collect these funds, especially a year out.
Yeah, there's, we have that conversation with our biller pretty frequently, and there's still some health plans that are disputing the amounts, and they haven't paid it yet. It doesn't make sense to me because interest does accrue. But and actually the state of California has a portion that's owed us that they have not paid as well. Smaller portion of that, what did I say, 3.1 million. But
There's
yeah, I
nothing
don't have
we
a
can
good
do about
answer
that.
for you.
It just is what it is. There's nothing we can do about that.
I mean, our biller continues to press them on it and try to answer questions, get issues resolved, but it's just taking them a long time. So
Crazy to me. Okay, thank you.
I guess another way to answer that would be I'm asking when I'm billing the budget, I don't want to build this in if it's not real. So I'm getting assurances that we're going to get it. It's just taking time. So once they say no, then I will let you know and adjust the budget accordingly. So.
I also had a question regarding the SERP fund, our earnings.
Mhm.
Can you remind us about the upset that you mentioned 2 years ago? Why the dip?
Oh, 2 months.
I mean,
ago.
2 months
Sorry.
ago. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, so what was it,
Thank you.
what was it called? The Liberation Day, the
Oh,
the
right.
tariffs, and
The tariffs.
the markets kind of tanked for
Okay,
a
the
good chunk of
uncertainty.
April because of that.
The uncertainty in that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you.
Yep.
I guess we don't have any further questions for the CFO. Thank you very much for your report. All right. With that, let's see, the next meeting will be August 28th of this year. I'd like to adjourn this meeting.